You may have seen in my last video how I showed that One For All got dumpstered on. It turns out that I was playing like an alpha build of the alpha network, sort of. They actually pushed the rest of the changes to them the other day, and the list of patch notes are insane. Like, these are some of the biggest changes the game has ever seen, and I've got a list of them all for you. Seriously, this is going to shake up the meta massively. It's going to make Void Glooms a walk in the park. Terminator's price is going to fall through the floor. It's just a weird time to be in Hypixel SkyBlock, and maybe some of these changes will go through, maybe some of them won't. Some of them have been changed since the last video, but regardless, let's just jump into it. So the G-Drag now has a base magic find of 10, and you also get base magic find for your gold collection, I believe. So Chimera is actually pog on a golden dragon now for magic find. This is it. The Shining Scale perk now grants the magic find and the strength to the base stats of the pet, which is like the biggest buff ever. Chimera is actually relevant again because of this, and a Chimera 5 atom split is going to be cracked. It will give you like 250 strength, it will give you like 50 magic find, and it will give you like 100 attack speed without changing your talismans or anything. That is nutty, especially with antique remedies or like a Minos relic on the dragon as well. Bust legendary treasure from 0.2% to 0.25. I thought it was 0.1% on the mainnet. I said that in my last video, but it's not as big as a buff as I thought, but it is a nice buff regardless. The turtle pet changes are basically what we showed last video. So buff turtle tactics from 20 to 30% defense. I think that's a nice change. Genius Amniote gives 30 defense for every player around you, maximum of 5 players, so that works perfectly for dungeons, right? And there's now a legendary perk, Turtle Shell. When you're under 25% max HP, you take 25% less damage. It's all right, I guess. That one's okay. Jellyfish got a pretty huge change. No one really cares about it, but basically it's now actually more relevant to the healer class in dungeons, because before they released it when dungeons wasn't a thing. So now it works very well in sync with healer. This is a really nice buff to healers, to be honest, and actually makes power orbs usable in dungeons without using all your mana. So I like that. Skater pet changes, I think these are good. It will kill the value of them, and they're not really going to be as hyped to drop. They're still expensive pets, especially with how much they cost to upgrade, but I don't get why they were so rare and expensive in the first place. Baby Yeti Pet, this did get destroyed, like literally cut in half, but they've actually made it so the legendary one now gives you 75% of your strength, which I think is a good change. Like I said, I like the Baby Yeti enough personally, but I think giving legendary the 75% buff is actually really nice. They've also done a load of changes to Enchant, which I am all about. I've always been anti-OFA gang. I've always been about Enchant. One For All is now additive and not multiplicative, granting plus 500% damage. That means that One For All should actually be better for lower combat players, and on certain weapons it will still be insane. But when you read through the enchant buffs, if you're an endgame player, One For All is no longer just the meta on everything. This is still a fantastic budget option and will really help early game players, but enchants now are ridiculous. I'm not going to go through every single number, but all you need to know is this line right here single-handedly kills One For All. That is broken. I really doubt that will make it to the main net, because yeah, you can nearly one-tap the Voidling Extremist just with one little hit from the fire aspect damage. That's nearly 8 million damage from one hit, by the way. The rest of the changes are really nice. Sharpness 7 now gives 45%, which is crazy. Ender Slayer 7 gives 90% as well. And now we dive into the extra juicy stuff, the item changes. So Gemstone's base sell price has been nerfed again, which I'm all about. Netherwart sell price has been nerfed. Oh well. Infinity Boom insta blows up. Bless up. I love this change so much, dude. I hate having to carry around a Conjuring as well as Infinity Boom, so I'm glad that insta blows up now. Maxor has increased crit damage, which is all right, I guess, and each piece now gains 5% extra arrow damage. I still think Necron will be better for Archer, but if you want to use like a mix of Necron and Maxor so you can run faster, you won't be punished as much in damage, which is nice. Nerf the Endstone Sword to 50% damage reduction max, so you can't make yourself invincible with it anymore. The Katanas now make you receive less damage from Endermen when held, which is just sick. And finally, the biggest buff in Hypixel SkyBlock's history. I'm not sure you all are ready for this. Final Destination is now the best armor in the game by a long shot for Void Glooms. Reading it, it doesn't seem like much, okay, but this single-handedly kills the Warden Helmet. The Warden Helmet is completely irrelevant after this. Wither Skeletons also been nerfed slightly. So has Tiger Pet. Fishing coin treasures get buffed with fishing level, which is really nice, and it's doubled the odds to get ultra rare rewards in the experimentation rotation table, which means hopefully T7 enchant shouldn't be so ridiculously expensive. So all of you spamming G7, P7, it's not gonna break the bank as much, okay? This is such a good update. I love it, man. I think the only thing I don't really like about this update are the final destination changes. That is the most extreme buff to anything I've ever seen. We're gonna do a Void Gloom on the main net first, and then we'll hop over onto the alpha, and I'll show you the difference between the two. They buffed T7s even more on the alpha. Ender Slayer 7's now 120%, and Sharpness 7's now 60%. But Fire Aspect and Thunderlord are additive. Okay, that's a good thing. Fire Aspect was crazy, but those buffs to Sharpness 7 and Ender Slayer 7, oh, keep giving me the buffs on the enchants, baby. The sad thing is I'm clicking half of this stuff into my inventory, like the Scylla and the Pigman Sword, and I just know you ain't gonna need them whatsoever after this buff goes through. All right, so I'm pretty sure you're all familiar with the current state of Void Glooms and how atrocious I am at them. I'm starting to get the strats down a little bit, I say, as I land like no hits whatsoever and die. We'll try that again, shall we? So, as it stands, T4 Void Glooms are by far the hardest content that Hypixel SkyBlock has to offer. Master Mode is a walk in the park compared to this, especially since you have 4 other people helping you, and you're usually entirely on your own while doing this. Nothing requires as much expensive endgame gear, nothing requires as much skill, nothing requires as many items as this thing. Like, this is the most difficult content in the game by a long shot, and to be honest, I like it being that way. It makes Judgment Core especially rewarding. It gives everything in the game a purpose. It gives Scylla a purpose. It gives the Warden Helmet a purpose. It just gives so many items a reason, because there's no point in having the absolute best gear available to you if you have nothing to use it on. And my only concern with the alpha changes is that they kind of make all of that redundant because of how criminally easy they are now. So you've seen me struggle against these plenty. You've seen me get the 58-second bosses. Let's hop over to the alpha and see the situation over there. All right, so here we are on the alpha. Last video, when you saw me do this, you saw how damage had been completely destroyed over here. Thankfully, that is no longer the case. So we'll use the exact same setup, 3-Force Necron with a Warden Helmet, Golden Dragon Pet, and a T7 Enchant Atom Split Katana, and we do 2.9 million damage, which is like 1 mil more than we were doing yesterday, which is really good, honestly. I'll take that. If we use our one for all Atom Split, we end up doing 3.2 million, which is also really nice. One for all is still a contender versus T7 Enchant. Like I said, though, Fire Aspect still kind of cracked. You just watch me do nearly 6 million damage in one hit thanks to Fire Aspect and all that kind of stuff. So the T7 enchants do still come out on top, albeit barely, but obviously you get the benefit of Siphon and such as well. Basically, I'm really happy with this change. This change is sick. One for all hasn't been completely destroyed, and T7 enchants definitely have their place in the game now, and I love them. But what I'm very on the fence about is the change to Final Destination armor. So if I hit an Enderman with my T7 enchant one, you can see it does about 2.3 million damage, right? I mean, that's not too OP. That's fine. The issue is they've now made it so that the full set bonus only activates while you're sneaking. That damage is without the full set bonus. And if I sneak and activate the full set bonus and hit a Void Gloom, you know, just all of that, as well as 1.5x intelligence, 30 bonus attack speed, 100 more strength, 200 ferocity. It is completely and utterly broken in every sense of the word. Bear in mind that Final Destination also makes you basically invincible to Void Glooms. You cannot die with this setup, and you do that much damage. It's unreal. You want to see the difference between the main net and a T4 Void Gloom on this in an armor set that is infinitely cheaper than 3-Force Necron and a Warden Helmet? I'll show you. All right, here we go, boys. You're managing to lag out the Alpha Network with how many of you are logging on right now, but it's crazy. I'm not even gonna use the Pigman Sword, maybe not even the Scylla while I do this boss. You can see I'm taking like no damage as well. Bear in mind the Katana got buffed so that you take less damage from Endermen while you're holding it, and Final Destination makes you pretty much invincible with it, and Siphon's a thing as well. You can't die to these things. There we go. We got a nice 95-second boss. Trade me. He has Chimera on the Alpha Net. Oh, you're a babe for this. I haven't even touched on this yet. That will come in handy later on. Thank you for the 3 as well. Orshi saying, watch him drop a core on alpha. Don't say it. I don't want to hear it. Although it's got to be worthless with how easy Void Glooms are now, because just watch this. You just saw how much I struggled on the main net. You have never seen damage like it. Listen to the ferocity. I don't even need the summons. I did one of these without summons and it's ridiculous. I'm so bad at Void Glooms as well. I should not deserve to get these kind of times on them, but it's just happening. Warden Helm is irrelevant and soon Terminator will join it. He's got a 50-second boss, and that wasn't even a good one. You know, people do that damage already, right? Yeah, but this is post-OFA nerfs and everything. And it's not even necessarily the damage that's the OP thing. It's the fact that I'm doing it in Final Destination. Like, you cannot die. There is no challenge whatsoever. I know people do the damage right now already, but that's because they're using the literal most expensive setups possible with hundreds of millions, billions even worth of gear and a lot of skill to accompany it. This is literally using the Enderman level 4 armor set and no talent. I definitely have no talent, so I can attest to that last bit. I think it can keep everything except the damage buff. If I could do this comfortably with like half as much damage as I'm doing right now, that is perfectly fine for how accessible this armor set is. I think having it do more than 3/4 Necron with a Warden helmet is ridiculous. I've briefly mentioned a change that I'm super stoked about, which is the fact that the Golden Dragon Pet now gets its stats as a base stats. This is everything I've been wanting for Chimera, and it is unreal. You can see now it's giving me a plus 198 strength, plus 22 magic find, and plus 50% bonus attack speed. That is unreal. That is so much damage and actually makes a Chimera 5 atom split pretty crazy. That'll give you 100 attack speed, another 200 strength, and a ton of magic find without even having to sword swap or anything. So don't mind me while I just whack Chimera 5 on my atom split real quick. I cannot wait to get this on the main server, bro. Let's see what the stats are like. Oh my god. 5.6 millers, boys. I have so much strength on the Golden Dragon perk right now because of the Shining Scales perk and because of Antique Remedies. Now, Antique Remedies applies after the Shining Scales perk, which means that if I up my gold collection, because right now it's only 3 million, so 7 digits, 70 strength. If I get like 100 million gold collection and have 9 digits and get 90 strength and then put Antique Remedies, I've seen Golden Dragons with like 250 strength on them, which means Chimera will give you a bonus 500 strength from the Golden Dragon Pet. This update only gets more and more ridiculous. Hang on, I haven't even seen this with my own eyes yet. I want to see what the new Infinity Boom's like. Oh, that's so sexy. I love the changes to Final Destination since I can do T3s. But that's the problem. The update just lets you skip a ton of progression. You had a goal in mind on your Iron Man profile. You were working towards being able to kill T3s. This update will just hand you the ability to kill T3 and 4s for free with absolutely no work put in whatsoever. The ultimate thing of being able to consistently kill T4s, let alone efficiently, is skill and mastery of the game. All of that is just gone, poof, into smoke. Short term, I can see why people would be fans of this, you know? They struggled with Endermen before, now they get a free pass to easily kill them. But it devalues all the work everyone else has put in to get to this point. It will devalue both Terminator and Juju, making the drops less rewarding. And it devalues the Warden helmet, which becomes worthless as a result of this, because this is the only thing in the game that requires a Warden helmet. Like, I can see why at face value it looks incredible, and it feels incredible, but I think it's far too overtuned. They should go through with all of the Final Destination buffs apart from the damage one. Oh my god, wait, 250% magic find without even sword swapping? Chimera with the new G-Drag is so hot. Can you test Minos Relic on G-Drag? I don't think Minos Relic is really worth using, to be honest. The attack speed bonus you get from the relic would be useless because between 50% and 82%, there's no difference. The magic find would be nice. It would give you the most magic find, but I'd rather get the ton of strength strength from Antique Remedies. Like, the strength bonus is ridiculous. I think that far outweighs a little bit of extra magic find or a bit of extra attack speed that won't do anything. I think this setup with Chimera is just the way to go, bro. You get so much extra strength from it with Antique Remedies. The thing is, like, you got to remember there are multiple buffs in this update. T7 enchants are better, so people are going to be doing Void Glooms with Siphon on the main net, which will make them easier. Holding the Katana makes you take less damage from Endermen, which will make them easier as well. The Golden Dragon's got a massive buff, which will make things easier. It does all that as well as the crazy Final Destination buff. I don't think it needs all of it, bro. Like, even without the Final Destination damage buff, Void Glooms are going to be significantly easier on the main net after this update. Literally just change that one thing where it says plus 100% damage against Endermen. Change that. Get rid of it. Make it plus 25% or something like that, and it'll be perfect. I want to know your thoughts in the comments, though. 100%, because I feel like as an endgame player, as someone who's got a lot of satisfaction from learning how to do Void Glooms and slowly mastering them and getting faster times and having the reward of like a Judgment Core and the best bow in the game to look forward to, I'm sad that everyone else is going to be robbed of that experience. It feels like you don't have anything to work towards anymore. Thank you for the one stamp saying Final Destination should be nerfed to be worse than a damage set, but good enough for a cheap setup for T4s, so that damage setups will be faster but riskier. That's 100% how it should be. That still gives Necron and Warden Helm a purpose, but it still lets weaker players attempt T4s, but it will be a lot slower, which means they won't do bosses as efficiently, which means hopefully the price of Judgment Core and Juju bows don't tank as hard. I think that is the best outcome. Right, as you've all called me out for not doing a boss without any summons, like I said I could do, I'm gonna actually go ahead and just do this boss without any summons whatsoever and show you how ridiculously easy Enderman Slayer's gotten, as if I haven't proven it enough already. Take note of my health bar, by the way, how it's just like not moving whatsoever. And I'm using a Golden Dragon Pet, by the way. This thing gives you no health whatsoever. If I was using like an E-Drag or something, I'd be comfortable right now, bro. I'd be living. 50-second boss with no summons. 8 seconds faster than the boss I did on the main net. So it makes the Reaper Scythe worthless as well. This update's destroying Zombie Slayer. Reaper Scythe even more worthless. Warden Helm worthless. Oh, the poor zombies, bro. I was about to say they don't deserve it, but yeah, I remember how long it took me to drop that Scythe Blade. They definitely deserve it. I love how I'm just casually doing these bosses without the summons, by the way. I actually kind of like it. I don't have them getting in my way all the time, fighting for the center of attention. Let's just see how much damage this thing does. So with that G-Drag out, we actually do 1.3 mil, 1.2 mil, 1.1. I mean, it's decent. It's a lot more than it does on the main net, and it's nice that I can use the G-Drag with it, which means it actually buffs it. It means the Gold's power perk is actually relevant for like the first time ever. That's kind of beautiful. What damage was I doing with the Megalodon? Bear in mind, this will still be a bit stronger because of obviously the T7 enchant buffs. Yeah, I'm doing 1 million damage. There's no way I do that on the main net. 434k, that's more like it. Why was I doing 1 mil damage with the first few? So yeah, we can assume that I'm doing like 350k on the main net with it, which is about right. So yeah, that's actually a pretty nice buff for the Daedalus Axe. That actually dies surprisingly quickly. 290% magic find without a Minos relic. That is actually crazy. Just to point out as well, Aatrox is Mayor on the Alpha Network right now, so we do have his magic find perk. Okay, so I guess the next thing to try out on the Alpha Network is this bad boy. People are really wondering about this in LCM, and to be honest, so am I, because One for All seems to be in a weird spot. I'm predicting that this is going to be just fine, perhaps even better than it currently is, because T7 enchants do outdo One for All in terms of damage over time. In single hit damage, I still think this will be the best single hit damage in the game, and LCM's all about single hit damage. We'll go try it, I guess. In dungeons with a level 100 Ender Dragon Pet, full Ancient Storm, and a Diamond Head, and a One for All Giant Sword, we do 121 mil to a Crypt Undead. We'll try that about the same distance. Why is this one so angry? Yeah, about 121 million with a One for All Giant Sword. The reason we're using an Ender Dragon Pet as well is because this hasn't been changed. If I use the G-Drag, obviously that's a lot stronger on this, so it wouldn't really be a fair test. So yeah, let's try it out on the main network. 138 mil, which means there's a 17 million damage difference, which isn't too bad. But then with Casa multiplying your stats and the blessings all multiplying, that difference can widen quite a lot. It's not terrible though. I wonder what this is like with T7 enchants. We'll see what 15H has on the Alpha Network. This giant sword's trash, but it has Chimera. I'll take it. I'm sure this damage test will be valuable to my audience who all obviously have Chimera 5 giant swords, right? I mean, it'll do. Giant Killer 7, Smite 7. It's something. It'll give you an indication, right? And a Chimera 5 Ember Rod. Nice. Okay, so the only difference between these pretty much is that this one is 9-starred and this one isn't, but seeing as we're not trying it in master mode, that won't matter. 84 mil. So yeah, one for all still definitely the play for the giant sword. It's weaker, but yeah, I really don't see putting the other T7 enchants on this saving it, to be honest. I guess that's the question then. T6 or T7 enchants versus one for all? I say it depends what you're fighting. If you're fighting Slayer bosses, dungeon bosses, enchants are the way to go. If you're fighting individual mobs like this, one for all is the way to go. Or if you're on a budget, one for all is the way to go. But enchants are actually worth using now, which is my favorite part of this update. Siphon just makes Void Glooms an absolute walk in the park, and you do slightly more damage. It's everything I could have wanted, essentially. And the weaker players aren't being cooked too hard. Like, the strength nerf already ripped them apart. They didn't deserve to have one for all taken away from them as well. And I think this update's managed to achieve that. So overall, I'm very, very happy with it. I think absolutely everything should go live except the final destination changes. But we'll see. Maybe none of it will even go live. Actually, I want to try a boss in 3-Force Necron with a Warden helmet on the Alpha Network to see how much easier it is without the final destination buffs, because it still should be a lot easier. I said that it would be, so I want to back my word right now and see what this is like. Yes, Siphon is busted, as well as the extra damage reduction from holding this thing. I can definitely feel that making a big difference. The damage is worse, and I don't have anywhere near as much ferocity, so obviously it's not preferable, but it's so much easier in terms of survivability. This is really interesting. So this is basically how Void Glooms would end up if they pushed everything except the final destination changes. And honestly, I'd be very happy with them being like this. They still require like almost the same amount of gear, but they're just like slightly easier. It's basically like how Void Glooms were when you could Ender Artifact stack. And I liked Void Glooms in that spot. But anyways, chat, I think that's going to wrap up this stream. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, because this is such a huge update, and I think as much feedback as possible will be amazing before any of it sees the light of day. So thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you're new around here, and I will see you all soon. Peace.